rise today to support the Termination of Pregnancy, Terminations and Live Births Amendment Bill 2024. In doing so, I acknowledge that this is a conscience matter for the Liberal Party. This bill seeks to balance the interests and the rights of the mother and the child. As the legislation currently stands, should a mother have a termination of pregnancy after 28 weeks, the baby's life would also be terminated. The proposed bill would still allow for the pregnancy to be terminated, but instead of the baby being delivered stillborn, would see the baby be born alive. I have heard some say that this should not be a decision for the Parliament, that this is a decision for a doctor and the woman. Respectfully, I absolutely think that it is the place of this Parliament to safeguard children. It is the Parliament's job to decide how to balance, at law, the competing interests and human rights of the mother and a baby. It is important to note that this bill still allows for a woman and her doctor to make decisions about her reproductive health, but it also safeguards the life of the child. Despite some saying that it should not be for the Parliament to make these decisions, this will not be the first time that this Parliament has legislated on the issue of abortion. Notably, I refer to the Termination of Pregnancy Bill 2021, passed only a few years ago. So I find it interesting that this argument is being deployed for this bill, as if this place is incapable of or unwilling to debate matters of fundamental importance to so many in our community. The SA Abortion Reporting Committee annual report for 2023 showed that there have been 37 terminations of pregnancy after 22 weeks and 6 days gestation in South Australia in 2023 for the physical or mental health of the pregnant person, 10 for fetal anomaly, and none for the purpose of saving the life of a pregnant person or another fetus. This has jumped significantly from 2022, which showed only 8 terminations of pregnancy after 22 weeks and 6 days gestation for the reason of the physical or mental health of the pregnant person, 2 for fetal anomaly, and none, again, for the reason of saving the life of a pregnant person or another fetus. The Honourable Ben Hood MLC highlighted in his second reading speech that according to the Australian and New Zealand Neonatal Network, babies born at 28 weeks have a 96% chance of survival, and that 76% of those children will go on to have normal motor development and 89% will live free of moderate or severe disability. This bill does not seek to remove a woman's choice to seek an abortion, should they choose to have one prior to 27 weeks and 6 days. Any assertions that a woman's right to abortion in those early stages would be incorrect. For clarity, Mr. President, that means that the mother would be able to seek an abortion right up until the end of her second trimester. Having conducted research into a number of sources on pregnancy, I understand that by week 27, the baby would be around the size of a cabbage. A bub would be able to hear muffled sounds in the womb. By this stage of pregnancy, it's likely that mum would also feel her bub kicking around. What we're talking about here, Mr. President, is babies who, statistically speaking, according to the report of the Australian and New Zealand Neonatal Network, have around a 96% chance of survival at discharge to home rate, or higher depending on when they were born. We're talking about babies who are past the threshold of viability. Yet currently, under South Australia's abortion laws, their lives could be terminated should the pregnancy be terminated. Instead, the Honourable Ben Hood's bill seeks to allow a medical practitioner to only intervene to end the pregnancy of a woman who is more than 27 weeks and 6 days pregnant if the intention is to deliver the fetus alive, and a premature delivery is necessary to save the life of the pregnant person or another fetus, or continuation of the pregnancy would involve significant risk of injury to the physical or mental health of the pregnant person, or there is a case or significant risk of serious fetal abnormalities associated with pregnancy or premature delivery is medically appropriate. It's important to note that come week 28, the mother would have had the nuchal translucency scan around the 12-week mark to measure of the skin fold at the back of the baby's neck. The results of the nuchal translucency scan combined with a blood test may tell parents if their baby is at an increased risk of chromosomal abnormalities. Additionally, the morphology scan would be completed around weeks 17 to 22, which is a routine scan to check if the baby is developing normally. Mr. President, this is well and truly in advance of the 28-week mark. This bill does not remove a woman's right to choose or to place them in a medically dangerous position like some have purported. It still allows for a pregnancy to be terminated, but what it does do is protect the right of life for the unborn baby. I indicate that I will be supporting the amendment in the name of the Honourable Sarah Game. I commend her on bringing this amendment aimed at providing supports for women and their babies should they have given birth to a child as a result of an intervention to end pregnancy under Section 6(2)(a). I agree that these supports should be available should the mother seek to access them and should not be enforced or mandated. Before I conclude, Mr. President, I'd like to acknowledge the work of the Honourable Ben Hood and his wife, Elle. What an incredible team you both make. Ben, you should be incredibly proud of the work that you have put into this bill and the courage that you have had in championing for this cause, especially given the vitriol that you have received. I know that at times there have been unnecessary levels of hostility, even threats of violence, frankly, behaviour that is entirely unacceptable in a free and democratic society. No matter how passionate someone is about an issue, threats and violence are never the answer. But despite this, Ben has risen above those who have sought to play in the mud. I think that this is a true testament to him, to his family, and to all of those who have worked together to bring recognition of this important issue to this place. I would also like to acknowledge the tireless work and dedication of Joanna Howe. Jo's advocacy on this issue has been incredible. She has immense passion and fire, and it has been on display throughout this campaign. With that, Mr. President, I support this bill and I conclude my remarks.